Okay, so I sent out a Google form for you to put in what you wanted to retake. There were three different quizzes. One of the quizzes isn't actually a retake. It's please use my test score average and put it in for my quiz average. The other two are actual, come in and do. There are three exit cards that you can retake. Those things are in there as well. So look at the titles of them and they match up with the titles in gradebook. You need to do quiz corrections to do the retakes. And then there's one exception. There is the last quiz on unit circle, which if you guys had your triangles drawn wrong, you most likely got a 50% on that quiz. So that one, if you come to the reteach today at lunch or at TAP after school or both, you need to do the corrections sitting with someone and having them making sure that you are doing it correctly and not doing the triangles backwards, upside down, and wrong. If you do those corrections nicely and you do have it signed off, you can check a box on the test, which I'm supposing is tomorrow, and then the average from the test will replace your quiz average. Okay. Yeah.
Since we were supposed to have like the 15-minute like graphing portion today, how is that gonna work?
That would be Monday.
Okay.
So we have a normal test and then we need you to be able to graph as well, like to show us that you can do that. So we have two pieces that we need to do somewhere. And predictions, I don't know, what do you think? We're gonna have school tomorrow?
No, tomorrow is no, so we're gonna do it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get here and we're gonna have first period normal and the rest of the classes are gonna be like 17 minutes, which is completely useless.
So you know what doesn't make sense?
Why would that happen?
No, what's that?
Yeah,
Because it happened a week and a half
Wait,
ago.
no, listen.
Just because that would be the worst thing.
So it's gonna start snowing at like 6:30.
Right.
No, like at 5.
They're gonna go code purple and make
It's
it
gonna-
be online.
And
What's
it's
the
gonna,
hottest it's gonna be
and
today?
it's gonna end at.
Oh, I could use an
What's the
online
hottest
test.
gonna
That'd
be
be
today?
clutch.
Yes,
It's gonna
we
be.
done
It's gonna start at
testing for
6:30.
COVID already.
It's gonna end at 12. So they wouldn't give us. They wouldn't give us an early.
Okay.
There's a wind chill.
Okay,
Wouldn't give us
so
an early.
I don't know. But can you guys unplug, please? And we're supposed to have a test tomorrow. Mr. Carolus and I were just here rewriting it and like, well, if it's this, then we can rip off this page. If it's that, we can. So the next time we see you, you will have some kind of quiz test piece that has to do with unit circle values, and some things like this. So with this warm up, yeah, hey,
Are you still like separating it, like graphing one day and then the rest of Monday?
hopefully that's the plan, and I'm sorry I can't give you more information because I just don't flipping know what we're gonna do tomorrow. But all right, in this, what we gave you here to write these functions. Do I know, like, because I want some kind of curve. Do I know the amplitude, or can I figure it out from this information? Rory says I can. What information are you using to figure this out?
You got the highest point is 2 and the lowest is -4.
3.
So the amplitude is 4.
No. So the change in y values, it went from 2 to -4.
Oh, it shifts on.
So it went from 2 to -4, which is 6 units. These guys, Tori and Nick said, so the A value, the height of the wave is 3. Because the height of the wave is in the middle. So if the high was 2, the low was -4, I agree that the height of the wave is 3. So Chris, where does that make the middle line? Where is our vertical shift? If the high is 2 and the low is -4.
Then it's gonna be -1.
Yes, Nick, -1. What's your question?
Well,
Comment.
can I say the thing that I created?
Okay, can you lead us through the rest of this and tell us where you're
I
getting your?
can try.
Okay.
So the period it gives us to it too. And then the b value would have to be 8, or 2 pi over 8, which is pi, like 5/4.
Okay,
And then the c value is,
okay, so the C value depends on if we're choosing cosine or sine.
I'm doing sine, but
Okay,
so mine didn't
what is yours for sine value?
change. Mine didn't shift right away.
But it does.
Wow.
Okay, so, okay, hold on. So we have y equals 3 sine the b value, x minus something minus 1. So that much is true. And so do you guys see where Nick calculated b? They told us the period was 8. And the way we get b is normal period divided by the actual period, and we get b. Yes,
Is B the slice?
b is frequency. It's the number of wiggles in 0 to 2 pi.
The slice is the period.
The slice is like how if you had to graph it by hand, where you would have to put each tick mark.
Wait, I just kind of,
Okay, this is not asking you to graph, it's asking you to actually just get the equation. So far, hang on, are you guys okay with finding the amplitude is, or the A value is 3? Are you okay with getting the B value? And are you okay with getting the vertical shift? Okay. So now we need to figure out the shifted. Cosine starts high, low, or in the middle? High. So Nana, do you see something? Okay, so you just said, is it 1? Cosine's high value, they told you the high point happens when x is 1. So if it's a cosine, this is going to be a 1. Is it a plus 1 or a minus 1? Minus because we're shifting to the right and it's counterintuitive. Okay. All right. Great. Okay, sine. If I had to write this as a sine curve, sine normally starts high, low, or in the middle. Middle. Okay, so here's a middle. How far do I have to go from 1 to get to the middle? Okay, why do you say 2?
Because we need to go down one to get to the middle point.
So to get to so this is where, if we had to graph it, Vanessa, this is where the slices come in. Chris just said we needed to go 2, and I'm assuming what he said was we needed to take the whole period and cut it into 4 pieces, because we go from high point to middle to low point to high, middle, back to high. So if this started at 1, this is at 3, low point happens at 5, 7, and then 9. The distance from 1 to 9 was 8 units. So do you agree with Chris's thinking through this? Okay, so Chris said move over 2 from where our high point was. So that's a 3. Chris, is it a plus or a minus? And there's one other fix I need to do. Is this correct? Something's missing.
oh, the vertical shift.
Vertical shift is
Oh,
there,
no, no,
but
I see.
sine normally starts in the middle. This is the middle, however, sine usually goes up. So I need a negative out front. That one was really, really tricky. I would have just done the cosine curve, but Nick, it's your fault you brought up sine.
I don't remember what, B is, pi over 4, what is that?
Okay.
Basically, never mind, I know.
Okay.
I'm thinking of
Just the
something else.
period times 2 5 over period.
Sine's period is normally 2 pi. If I said sine 2x, the 2 means how many wiggles will happen in 0 to 2 pi. So what I'm saying, the period of this function is 2 pi divided by 2. So this function graphed right on top of it, there's 2 wiggles in the same amount of time that this guy made 1 wiggle. Frequency was 2. So the period is 2 pi divided by that number, whatever it is.
So how would that work with pi over 4?
That's the slice.
2 pi divided by pi
Slice is
over
2.
4,
Yeah, I know.
which is 2 pi times 4 over pi. Pi's cancel, the period is 8 like we said.
Oh.
It was given to you in the problem. Okay.
So you did that.
Ahmed?
You know, sine, cosine.
Okay, every sine function can be written as cosine and every cosine function can be written as sine. It's just a shift of one or the other. So that's why, so this says sinusoidal curve, which someone asked, what the hell does that mean? It's like mankind includes women, sinusoidal curves includes cosine. So, okay. Awesome. Okay, you guys should have had lots of stuff emailed to you, which you probably didn't pick up or print. But if you were missing any of the graphs, things, there's the 6 functions that what their graph should look like. There's the review sheet for today, and there's a graphing exit card sheet that some of you may or may not have done, but that's the extra piece that will be some other day. And then there's, you guys didn't pick up the unit circle circuit training. That will help you a lot for the test in particular. Okay, so all of those things are over here. So you should know what the sine curve looks like. Domain is what x values can go in. All of the values can go in. But range, what comes out, negative 1 to 1. We did these a while ago. Hopefully that's understandable. You should know the periods. Normal period of sine, cosine, secant, and cosecant, all 2 pi. And someone came in this morning and were like, I don't understand what you mean by zeros. What are you talking about? And that's asking, tell me all the places where the function hits the x-axis. And we have a way of writing it. Right. Where does it hit? 1 pi, negative 18 pi, 17,537 pi. All of these whole numbers of pi. How do you write the infinite number of them? They do it like this. And the reason that we ask you to know this, if I ask, Eden, what is sine upside down? What is the name of that? Cosecant, perfectly. If I ask you to graph cosecant, which is 1 over sine, Mara, what is cosecant's value right here? Like this, sine is 0 right here, so cosecant is that upside down. It doesn't have one. So when it's 1 divided by 0, visually on a graph monitor, what does that look like? When it's 1 divided by 0,
Undefined.
it's undefined, but what visually would, there we go, thank you. Visually, that's gonna make an asymptote. So if you can graph sine, everywhere that sine hits the x-axis, knowing where those zeros are, you're gonna know where vertical asymptotes are. And personally, I see these as the bubbles of sine pop. So this happy bubble here, this is negative 1 upside down, is still negative 1. Cosecant's gonna look like that. That bubble this way, got cut and popped the other way. This one's gonna make that. So you can read the domain, or sorry, the range off of this. For cosecant, the range is negative infinity to negative 1 with a square bracket. And then it starts, sorry, it's off the screen, but starts at 1 and goes up to positive infinity. When does cosecant hit 0? Never.
So basically, like, cosecant is just a sine function reflected over its minimum and maximum, like where it goes without because you're kind of looks like you're reflecting it. Like,
Okay, let me show you with cosine. What is cosine upside down? Right, secant. Because this graph is easier to show. Everywhere that cosine is 0 is going to make an asymptote for secant. So this blue bubble this way, 1 upside down is still 1. 1 over 1 is 1. That bubble's going to pop and go up. This bubble's going to pop and go down.
Yeah.
So it's not a reflection because it's going to make all these like U shapes, which is not a reflection of that. Like, not at all.
Right.
But I see what you mean, but calling it a reflection is mathematically offensive.
I don't, like, for the cosine zeros, I don't, like, get
Okay. Cosine is 0 at all the odd halves of pi. So this is saying, where's cosine 0? Pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 5 pi over 2, negative 7 pi over 2, negative 19 pi over 2. All the odd halves of pi. So this is saying, find a whole number and add or subtract a half. That's where all the zeros are. Negative pi over 2, negative 3 pi over 2. Pick a whole number. 8. So 8 minus a half, 7 pi over 2. That one is right over here. And that would be a 0. 8 pi plus 8 plus 1/2 is 17 pi over 2. That would also have an asymptote. Zachary? Question?
No.
Okay, so like really to know all the properties of all 6 functions, if you know these two, how to draw them, if you know where their zeros are, because you can draw them, you know where the asymptotes are for the other functions. You know where the zeros are for the other functions. To graph tangent. Tangent is sine over cosine. Domain and range. Range is easy.
Yeah.
The important thing that you know, tangent doesn't have an amplitude, it just stretches. It's period, what is it, how often does it take to make a repeat? Pi. So if I told you, this, and asked what is the period of this guy, I'd said in the other ones, the normal period divided by the b value. Here, the normal period for tangent is pi, not 2 pi, divided by the b value. So that's, like, if you take the SATs, this might be something they ask you. Yes?
When I was, like, watching the videos and stuff, like, I saw, like, how the person, like, wrote, like, the domain, but I also just, like, don't get that. Like, I don't really.
Okay. So tangent is sine over cosine. And like we just did a second ago, all the places where cosine's 0, that's going to make tangent be undefined. So we can have everything except odd halves of pi. How do you get an odd half? Take whole number of pi and add or subtract pi over 2.
What is R?
Do you know what that one is? No? You guys have never seen this? What is it? All real numbers. So that funny R is a fast way of writing negative infinity to infinity, and this is saying, but x can't be those guys. So sorry for the shortcut writing.
And then zero's gonna be with this.
You might need to be able to identify some things. I'm not going to ask you to write the weird notation, but we might say It's tangent 0 here. Okay, so this key is posted online, and you can go to Desmos and type in y equals cotangent x and look at it. You can zoom in, zoom out, do whatever you need to do. Yes?
Like, for all of the, can we write down zeros into coordinates, or do we just write down?
So when it asks for zeros, in this case, they're asking for an infinite number of them, which you couldn't possibly write them all. But you'll start to see a pattern that the zeros for tangent, negative pi, 0 pi, 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi, you get the idea. Yeah, so you'd be like, n, some whole number times pi. Okay. Did I reteach? And for stuff that's on the test, you need to know these triangles. And in general, if we give you radians, we want radians. How does this triangle here get labeled? 3? How do I label the angles on this one? What's the bigger one here? Pi over, yes, it's 60, but that's pi over, what's the little one? Pi over 6. Claris, how do I label the sides?
The opposite side, like the one, flat
This-
one's 1, yeah, it's 1.
The up-down stick.
Yeah, and then it's 2 for the hypotenuse, and then it's root 3 for the.
So if you know this, and you can write these coordinates, you should be able to tell me any value on the unit circle. Sarah, what's your most hated trig function? It's okay, let it out.
Anything with, for 45.
Okay. Trig function, pick one of the 6 trig functions that you hate the most. Or that you like the least.
I'm trying to think, I don't like them all.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Oh, yeah, definitely that.
We'll pick an angle that's on the unit circle. Any of them.
Pi over 4.
Pi over 4. Nice easy one. Okay. Cosecant is trig. What trig function, Maya? What trig function upside down? Sine. Okay, so sine of pi over 4. Sine of pi over 4 is opposite over hypotenuse. So cosecant is going to be hypotenuse over opposite. Is pi over 4 in which quadrant? First. Is it positive there or negative there? Positive. Okay, so it is root 2. I'm going to change the question. Cosecant of 5 pi over 4. It's still going to be a root 2, but is it still positive or do I need to make it negative? Why negative? As if I go this way, it's not going to take me to the 3rd quadrant, which cosecant and sine are negative there. Ooh. So it would be negative. All right. Going to change it again. Negative 5 pi over 4. What quadrant was that?
Quadrant says positive.
Negative 5 pi over 4, takes us there. Oh, well that cosecant in that quadrant is now positive. But all I need are these 2 triangles and that plus sign. Serene, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, pi, pick one of them. Pi over 2. Secant of pi over 2. How do we figure that out using these guys? Secant is who upside down? What trig function? Cosine. Good. So, and pi over 2 is 90. So, all right, I'm going to look up there at that coordinate 0, 1. Cosine is the x value or the y value? The x value. So this is going to be that x value upside down. What is that? Undefined. It's going to be 1 over 0, which is undefined. Yes?
So any of them that line on the line is like.
Nope.
Sometimes it could just
Okay.
be 0.
Sometimes it can be, okay, let's same angle, but cosecant. Cosecant is which trig function upside down? Sine. Is sine the x value or the y value?
One.
The y value. What is the y value? What is 1 upside down? What is 1 over 1? Still 1. So, no, they're not always undefined. You gotta look at it and figure out, are you doing secant of 0? Secant of 0 is 1. If you're doing cosecant of 0, you're undefined. If you're doing tangent of 0, tangent is the y value over the x, 0 over 1. Tangent of 0 is 0. Tangent of 90, undefined, because it's 1 divided by 0. So you need to look at it. But click in a little more. A little bit. Cool. Thought I had the worksheet all up here, but I don't. So, looking at the review, what do you guys want to go over? There's just so much stuff.
It's cosine of negative 11 pi over 2.
Cosine negative 11 pi over 2. All right, that's too many whole circles. How do I get that just into one? Okay, Mileo, what'd you say?
I think coterminal.
Find the coterminal ones. So a full circle in over 2. 2 pi is 4 pi over 2. I'm going to add another 4 pi over 2.
The first page.
So 11 minus 4 is negative 7. Negative 7 minus, or plus 4 again, is negative 3 pi over 2. So negative 3 pi over 2 takes me here. The coordinate here is 0, 1. Cosine of that looks to be 0.
Could you just like find the reference angle of pi versus
Oh, lovely. Gianna said, find the reference angle and just go from there. You gotta be careful. The reference angle of 90 for these, well, if it's sine, the positive pi over 2 sine of 90 is 1. Negative pi over 2 sine of that is negative 1. So you gotta be careful.
So why are you allowed to just add 4 pi over 2 plus?
Okay, so negative 11 pi over 2, it said go around a full circle, go around another full circle, and then go that little bit extra. So it's taking off all those coterminal angles. Millie said take off the full circles till you get down to 1 loop, which is exactly what you should do. So if you have to deal with angles bigger than 2 pi, add or subtract those 2 pi's till you get it onto just the unit circle.
You said it's cosine negative 3 pi, and then you said it was undefined, but didn't cosine actually one?
Okay, cosine, I said it and wrote it. Cosine of negative 11 pi over 2 is the same as cosine of negative 7 pi over 2, which is the same as cosine of negative 3 pi over 2, which then Gianna pointed out is the same as cosine of pi over 2. So I went to 90 degrees, looked at that reference angle. What's the x value? 0. Cosine is 0. Secant, however, secant of that same angle, undefined.
Okay.
Okay. So, kinds of things that you guys need to be able to do. Know the unit circle, actually, I don't ever use the unit circle. I just use these 3 things. And I can tell you any trig function and its value. Sine 11 pi over 6. The reference angle, what's the reference angle? Pi over 6. If it's in reduced radians, it is whatever that bottom number is. I'm going to label the triangle again like Ferris told me to. Okay, reference angle, sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. 11 pi over 6. What quadrant does that take you to? Does it go around more than once?
Yes.
It goes around to the fourth quadrant.
Stops in the fourth
Negative.
quadrant right there.
Yeah.
Sign is negative there, so you put that negative on it. okay?
So, what did that mean, like, negative 30? Or
Okay,
what did the,
don't give me the angle, okay?
okay.
11 pi over 6 is 330 degrees. I don't want the degrees. I don't care about that. I want the trig function of that angle. So the reference angle here is pi over 6. Okay. She's giving me a funny look. All right. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, correct? So I'm going to draw the triangle in there. Here's my reference angle, pi over 6. This is 1. That's 2. That is root 3. And that 1 is actually going down. So I'm going to make it a negative. So if you were standing right here,
That's 30.
that's 30 degrees, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, if you're standing here, what is sine of negative 30
Well,
degrees?
then it's the opposite, negative 1 over 2.
Negative 1/2. That is what I was asking all along.
Oh,
So guys, some of you on the quiz just said, oh, well, pi over 2, that's 90. Like, I didn't ask for you to translate degrees to radians. I asked you to find sine of 90 or sine of pi over 2. And some of you just wrote the angles. I'm not asking that.
Could you do one of the ones with just like a degree instead
Okay. Tell me which one.
how about like 9, like sine of negative 315?
Okay, sine of negative 315. Nick says that takes us to the first quadrant. Do you guys agree?
yes.
So negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, negative 315. The reference angle that's left, Sarah says, is 45 degrees. I agree with you. So this is saying, really, what is sine of 45? We need this triangle, 1 over root 2, which if it needed to be cleaned up because you're doing it on delta math, it would be root 2.
That's possible.
Is it positive
Yes.
because
It's in the
Quadrant
first
one.
quadrant.
And all students take calculus.
all students take something? And course choices, some of you, again, have been emailing about that. I didn't realize this. I had said AP Stats was a choice. You can only take AP Stats as a 9th or 10th or 11th grader if it is a second math class that you're taking. You can take it as a senior, but not as a 10th grader unless you're already doing another math class. Didn't know that restriction. So those of you in 9th or 10th grade, great course options for next year. Honor Statistics and Calc with Apps is the recommendation. If you are an 11th grader, your senior year, you could also possibly take financial math and possibly or AP Stats in addition to the Honor Stats and the Calc with Apps. It is not recommended that you take AP Calculus because you don't have enough stuff from this class, and like you need to get things on the first go around, you need to be up on it and doing your homework, not sleeping in class, stuff like that. Okay, questions? Yeah.
Or either AP.
I believe seniors going from here can take AP Stats. Like, yes, either one. AP Stats is supposed to be seniors only unless it is your second course, second math course.
Of the year.
Yeah. So I have people that have taken honors geometry and AP Stats at the same time, which I think is crazy, but people do.
If possible, I really want to go through AP calculus.
It is not recommended that people go to AP Calculus from on level 3 Calc. The pace is crazy fast, and people have done it. You can talk to them. Some of them are rather miserable, and some of them are fine. So I can get people you can ask. Okay. Vanessa, pick a number.
Any number?
Yeah.
245.
Awesome. They'll love you for that. Mara, sine or cosine?
Sine.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's like a really big number. Should I pick a smaller one?
How about -5?
Okay, that's fine.
Yo, what that was?
I thought it was gonna be like a unit circle.
3 plus or minus?
4.
2.
Let's see if we can graph this. Sorry. Technically, the A value here is -5. Joey, what does that make the amplitude?
5.
+5. It is irritating that I've seen this as a question on the SATs. What else do I need to do? You guys, period. Okay, how do I find period?
2 pi over pi over 2.
So the B value is pi over 2. Milial says it's 2 pi divided by pi over 2, which becomes 2 pi times, times 2 over pi. Lame shift. I was gonna force a pick, but okay. The C value is 4 units, left or right?
Right.
Right. And in this particular case, it don't matter because he made the shift be a full period. Vertical shift?
Half.
Up 2. Okay. Slices, how do I label the axis?
You can divide the 4 by 4, so the slices.
Okay, so Sarah says you take the period, which,
Slices will be 1, but
It
yeah, you
begins
need
at
to move over 4
pi
first.
over its
so Sarah says take the period that ended up getting created. When we did 2 pi divided by d, we got 4. And she divided that into 4 equal pieces, so each slice is 1. Very convenient. And Nick chose a shift sideways that didn't change anything, but I'm gonna graph it like we would normally graph it. Starting at the 4, where's my vertical shift again? +2, up 2. And you need to label your axis with a scale, because all of them look the same.
I
Yeah,
have a question.
yes.
So is B not like not B? Oh, never mind. I'm seeing the C. I'm
Is
confusing.
this so?
I was confusing
This
the
isn't
shift
the
to the right
this
as
is,
the
real time.
it's
Oh, I'm not done yet,
But like, wouldn't you want to start before and then go right?
but I'm gonna do it like we would have, like if it wasn't so conveniently, whatever. So starting at 4, adding the period on, I get an end of 8. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I should get one complete wiggle in between those goalposts. All right. And we are choosing sign. I saw a sign usually starts high, lower, in the middle. In the middle or high or low? In the middle. So if it starts in the middle, it's gotta end in the middle. What do I do from here?
Yeah.
Goes down first because it's negative. It goes, so I'm gonna go to the first tick mark Sarah told us to put on there and go down 5 from the middle line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to the middle, and then from here go up 5. And because we can.
Six, seven.
Right there. I just looked at that.
Why do we start from the line of the one? Your shift.
Okay, you're right, I would have started at 0, but we're not gonna give you one that conveniently shifts a full period of itself. For real, like, a good question for the graphing portion of the test would that if that number was a 3. Cause then it just doesn't work out. That makes, picking a number out of nowhere worked out well. And this doesn't get very much credit on the test because what do we need? Coordinates. So this one is 4, 2, this one is 5, -3, and this is 6, 2, 7, 7, and 8, 2. I need all 5 coordinates of the high, the low, and the zeros. Yes, sir.
Do we have to do the X, tallies like on the X? For this?
I need a scale, and we had 1 through 4 written, which is fine.
6 is still.
Emilio?
Are we gonna get questions with the trig function gonna be like cotangent?
We are not gonna ask you to graph cotangent, tangent, secant, or cosecant, but we can ask you, what's the period of cosecant? Here's all 6 of them. Which one of these is cotangent? Here's all 6 of them. Which one is cosine? Tell you what, sine and cosine, those are too easy. Maya?
So if you were drawing it to scale, would it start at the point that it's 4?
I don't know what you mean by drawing to scale. Like, the way that we've been showing you, go to the shift and draw a period after that. But most of the class noticed, well, I would have started at 0 as well, but trying to do it the way we showed you in class, starting at 4, moving forward. Either one is fine, as long as I get one complete wiggle with the 5 main coordinates in the right place, we're good.
On this circuit worksheet, there's like a W that I can also, is that just like a variable?
Yeah. Okay. So the circuit training worksheet. That's a funny looking omega, and it's asking you to think if sine is -1/2, what do you know about the angle? Will? Like now, Will, or I'll take it. So, Will, when is sine at half? What angle makes it a half?
Pi was 6.
So, Will, what angle makes sine -1/2? Give me one angle. There's lots of choices.
45-degree angle, so
Nope, not 45.
9 seems like you're asking.
Pi over 6 is not 45 degrees.
Oh, pi over 6 is 30 degrees. So you also do pi over 3, which is 60, right?
It's like 30.
Okay,
It's like 30.
so the angle could be -pi over 6. Again, if I gave you radians, which yes I did, radians, I usually want radians. So 7 pi over 6, -pi over 6, 11 pi over 6. Peyton, what restrictions did they put on the question in the problem?
It's a measure of the
Measure in the 3rd quadrant, so looks like 7 pi over 6 or -5 pi over 6. Both of them will get you there. Okay, so things that I recommend you guys do, the review sheet. Like, you have tons of stuff. So hopefully, you guys looked at the answer key posted online for the 6 graphs. You can recognize them and being able to find the zeros. I think you're pretty good at graphing sine and cosine. So if you can find the zeros in these guys, you should be good. All right. Maybe